You are very video friendly. You have talked to the students leader, you have talked to the podcaster, you have talked to the, so many interviews, and even you have been part of the TEDx. So why you are so friendly to the media, friendly to the video? Is it because that you have your husband working for the BBC for 20 years?
Oh, well, that sounds like I needed support to develop the skills. I think I was always very talkative.
TEDx video, it was very fantastic. And in the video, you talk about the can education, close the advantage gap. And that was very fantastic video. Yeah. So once I ask you again, can the education close the advantage gap?
I believe it can. We first of all collected seed very early in the morning, built a nursery to grow the plants, and planted the seedlings into the forest. And that was many, many years ago. That was early in my career. So these trees would now be much taller than this building. Oh gosh, that's interesting. Many years ago, it was more difficult for female academics to get published and to get support, to get grants. But the main reason wasn't so much that. It was actually I enjoyed the students, working closely with the students and seeing them develop, whether they are undergraduates, first years new to university, or whether they are postgraduates very ambitious and keen on their research project. Women succeed in the UK academically at university very, very well. Better than the boys, but when they go into the job market, the first job, they get paid less. Very warm feeling in the UK towards Nepal. There's a very big recognition, partly because of the mountaineering history. Well, we're already planning to come back, and we hope to build on the good work of these collaborations and the different universities we're meeting. So I'd say within a year. Can't give you a date yet, but I hope it will be soon.
Namaste and welcome. This is Birat Anupam. Today, for the first time for the Shilapatra podcast, I have a very, great guest all the way from United Kingdom, and she's my first guest from the global north. So today we'll be talking about the Nepal-UK education, partnership, maybe from the private level or maybe from the governmental level, and we'll be talking about the Chester, the University of the Chester, and the activities in the UK and around the world. And we'll also talking about the Nepal and the other issues related to the education. So I am joined by Eunice Simmons, and she is a very noted name in the education sector of the United Kingdom. So Eunice, you are welcome to the Shilapatra podcast.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
And I'm very shy to know that you have your husband who worked for the BBC for the 20 years. So I don't have much confidence to talk you.
He's watching, I think, in the studio room next door.
So what brings you here in Nepal?
So I'm honoured to be here in Nepal at the invitation of Dr. Padam Sinkada, who is a very well-known health academic in the United Kingdom and in Nepal. And we are here to inaugurate something called the Evidence Synthesis Centre at Kathmandu University, an ambitious programme to bring together almost 30 fellows from all across the country to learn how to collect information and to bring that together to create new and better policies, to influence policies in public health. So that's one of the specialisms of the University of Chester, and so that's why we're so pleased to be working on this project funded by the British Academy.
So when I look back at your career path, and I see four C's that define your career. The Chancellor, you are the Chancellor of the University of Chester, and the Chester, the university itself, and the coronavirus, because you were the Vice Chancellor when there was the coronavirus, and C for conservation, because you had your PhD in the forestry. Yes. So which C is very favorite for you right now?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to say my Vice-Chancellor job, because I love what I do. I've been Vice-Chancellor of the University of Chester for 6 years, and it's a great university. We've got about 15,000 students now. It's a very historic institution. It started in 1839, interestingly, as a teacher training college. So we have a very strong background in education, but also the first principal, very much like the founder of Kathmandu University, was innovative. And he also taught science and technology. And the technology of that time was steam, of course, not electric cars or anything like that, steam-powered machinery. So he taught the students that. So I think conservation still very, very important. I manage to stay connected into forestry. I have a community forest project that I chair, over 300 kilometres square in the north of England, and I just planted their 10 millionth tree. So I don't do much tree planting now, but I'm still very enthusiastic about it, and I think Nepal has done a fantastic job with the conservation efforts. Also, interestingly, in Kathmandu, I've been looking at a lot of street trees being planted by the municipality. And they might not look anything now, but in a few years you will all be very grateful for the people with the vision to undertake the urban forestry.
So for your PhD in forestry, you were in the Malaysia to have your research.
Yes.
So could you please tell about the research in the Malaysia and the 1 million tree plantation in the United Kingdom?
Yes. Well, in my PhD was actually across all of UK, looking at how our National Forest Service was damaging ecosystems by just focusing on timber planting and not interested in the effect of the forestry on the rest of the ecosystem. So I surveyed 20 sites across England and Wales. And then I learned a lot about forestry systems. So I worked with some European colleagues looking at European systems. And then I went to East Malaysia, and I was fortunate, funded by the Royal Society, to work with the foresters there and supervise some PhD students. And what they were doing, they were replanting a very ambitious project in the rainforest, 25,000 hectares, which had been logged, and yet was home to the orangutan and some very valuable key stone species in conservation. So we planted, we first of all collected seed very early in the morning, built a nursery to grow the plants, and planted the seedlings into the forest. And that was many, many years ago. That was early in my career. So these trees would now be much taller than this building.
So let us talk about your career path once again. You are a professor yourself, but
Yes.
you didn't pick the academic domain. You picked the leadership domain.
Yes.
So though we call it Vice-Chancellor, it is the executive position.
Yes.
And you are working for the University of Chester as a Vice-Chancellor since
Yes.
the pandemic time.
Yes.
So why did you pick the managerial job instead of the academic job?
Oh gosh, that's interesting. Many years ago, it was more difficult for female academics to get published and to get support, to get grants. But the main reason wasn't so much that. It was actually I enjoyed the students, working closely with the students and seeing them develop, whether they are undergraduates, first years new to university, or whether they are postgraduates very ambitious and keen on their research project. So I found that was where my skills lay, in teaching, in supervising, and also in managing. Lots of academics do not like managing. They are good at their subject, but they don't understand how to build a team or how to manage an institution. So I've now worked in 6 different institutions, and I've tried to develop my skills each time in each job.
So which part is very good? Staying at a room and doing research, going to the field is okay, or being a part of the top leadership of the university is okay for you?
Oh, for me, I enjoy being a leader. I enjoy being a female leader. It's really important to be something of a role model for our female students because, women succeed in the UK academically at university very, very well. Better than the boys. But when they go into the job market, the first job, they get paid less. Yeah. So I like to address those sorts of inequalities, and we always talk a lot with our students about their whole career. What are they going to be like as a professional? How can they develop their skills? And we're quite successful at that. I think our students go into very good jobs.
So you talk about women, and I want to ask one question. You are one of the many women Vice-Chancellor in the United Kingdom. But if we talk about the Nepal, we
Yes.
just have one woman Vice-Chancellor in the country.
Okay.
So how can we increase the women Vice-Chancellor in countries like Nepal and in the global south?
I think you have to consider how hard it is for a woman to work in a man's world. And you have to address all the power imbalances that there are. You have to develop the woman's leadership skills, their abilities to talk confidently in different settings, such as this. We only had the invitation yesterday, but I'm delighted to be here talking to you. So you have to say yes to opportunities when they come along, such as this. And you have to be confident to ask for help. If you don't know how to do something, just ask for help and people will help you develop your career, especially women. I mentor a lot of women and I contribute to 2 significant women's leadership programs in England. One in the city of Chester, run by all the chief executives of the businesses in Chester, the senior businesses. They're all now run by women. So we club together to create a program for other women in the area. And then there's one across the wider Northwest. And it's important for women to support each other.
You know, before talking to you, and I searched so many videos of you, so many texts in the internet, and I found that you are very video friendly. You have talked to the students leader, you have talked to the podcaster, you have talked to the, so many interviews, and even you have been part of the TEDx. So why you are so friendly to the media, friendly to the video? Is it because that you have your husband working for the BBC for 20 years?
Oh, well, that sounds like I needed support to develop the skills. I think I was always very talkative. Yes, I think I was always very keen to engage with people. And as I say, I like students, so it's most important to me to meet with the students regularly, to listen to them. My husband is very skilled in media, so that was obviously a great help. In the old days, he used to bring in a machine that you edited TV and radio in that time on tape, a tape machine, and he would work with the students when they were nervous, and he would interview them, and then he would cut the tape up to show how much was which you don't need. And he would tighten it up and make them sound so professional. And I loved that workshop. He did that for free for my students for many years. Yeah.
So talking to the University of Chester in 2019, in December, you were about to be the next Vice-Chancellor, and there was an interview with a student, and she asked, why did you pick the University of Chester? And you said, the great locations. Could you please talk about the location of the Chester?
Location is 2 hours from London by train. So imagine just heading up to the northwest, and you're right on the border of Wales, which is a beautiful country, and about an hour from Manchester and Liverpool, and half an hour from Liverpool. So perfectly situated, but a medieval city. So very historic. You can see 2,000 years of history. It is a walled Roman city. And so if you're interested in the culture of England and indeed Wales, you could do better than go to Chester. It is such a fantastic location. But it's an interesting place because the university was formally inaugurated 2005. So I had the opportunity to help mould and shape the university. That's interesting. And what can it do for its location and its region? And there are lots of needs. There's disadvantage, even though it's a prosperous region, there is still a lot of disadvantage, which I'm interested in supporting.
And in one of the videos for the university, you said that you are in the safe hands in the University of Chester. You were addressing to the students. Yes. So how can you say that the students are in good hands in Chester?
Well, I started January 1st, 2020. Interestingly, we had international students from all around the world, and then we had to close for COVID, and those students couldn't go home. So we organised for the safe return of our UK students in the main. Some also couldn't visit their home, but the international students we then had to look after. So we turned overnight into a cashless campus. We changed every system we had, and we gave, when the students had COVID symptoms, they stayed in their bedrooms and we delivered the food to them. And we set all of this up literally within a week. My staff were fantastic. And I didn't know everybody. I mean, it's a big university. I've got hundreds of staff, 1,600 staff. So I had to get to know people quickly. And the students felt very supported. So we had almost no complaints through that whole 2-year period. And that's carried on. So just this year, we had a student from Nepal who had a stroke when he was on his master's course. And yet he got so much support, including from Dr. Padam Simkada, but also from the rest of the university. And he was able to pause his studies, then resume his studies, and he came out with a distinction.
Great.
So we were very pleased. That's an up-to-date example.
So how it was like working in the coronavirus days, because you are the Vice-Chancellor in the coronavirus time. So could you please explain about the days in coronavirus time?
It was frustrating because I wanted to get to know the students personally. I wanted to get to know the staff. I wanted to see the university operating. But instead, I had to close it down. And everything went to video and online. And I think also that's what made me keen on video. because I did a lot of live sessions, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, to keep connected with the students and to listen to them and to help the staff develop good programs online, because we had great content, but we had to improve it because it's a bit different having part of your course online to having everything online. That's an entirely different matter. So we had to work really hard at that and communicate every single day with the institution. And then we opened up as soon as we could, but we were very, very careful about the public health. Small group teaching, not large groups, all of that. Really complicated to organise for a new manager, as I was.
So what was the best byproduct of the coronavirus?
I think it was a sense of community. We got through such a difficult time. We came out stronger. University of Chester had focused much more on its students' needs, and that was a great thing. So we've carried on that philosophy, I think, as we've gone through the last few years.
So in United Kingdom, the universities are having international partnership globally. So what are the upcoming and ongoing academic partnership of the University of Chester?
Well, for us, we have students from 123 countries. Direct recruitment is not a problem for us because Chester is such a popular place. Very good quality education, very reasonable, and a lovely location. But if, for example, in Nepal, we are very keen to support in-country education. So my first visit this time to Chitwan Medical College, and we are hoping to work with them on allied health and programs. We have very strong nursing, social work, and a very good medical school. So then went to Pokhara and met the VC there to talk about the same sorts of things. We've seen, now I'm hoping to visit Global College shortly and Tribhuvan University. And then, of course, the Kathmandu visit was a highlight for sure. That's a very innovative uni. So what we want to do is to have programs that are developed for Nepal and in Nepal with some Chester branding and support and quality assurance. And I think the country should view it as almost a transition stage in your higher education. So you're sending, I think, probably too many students overseas, or they're going overseas. More than half of your A-level students go overseas. I think it's 120,000 a year. And it would be better if many of them were educated in country with collaborations with universities from around the world. So they got a global view. And yet they were still at the standard that they could then work either here or elsewhere. That's our ambition.
Very great idea. So University of Chester, you already told that you have more than students from more than 123 countries. So why do Nepali students pick your university in the United Kingdom? So what is the glamour of the university?
What is the glamour? I think they like the fact Chester is a city, but a small city. So you come for 1 year, you can learn the whole place, you feel at home. It's a very welcoming city. And also we've got lots of good functions and events for students. You learn a lot more than just your course, because I would say to everyone who's thinking of studying abroad, look carefully at what else is offered. What else can you do? How can you develop your language skills or your knowledge of the country or your society that you're going into? And who else will you meet? Yeah, think about that as well as your studies.
So many Nepali students, they are conscious about the financial health. So they all of them, they don't have the good financial health.
Yes.
So they are very curious on the scholarship. They are very curious on the they are not much interested on the fully funded program. So what are the scholarship for the students from Nepal or from the countries from the Global South?
So we have some scholarship schemes based on merit, academic merit, and we have some scholarships based on particular country partnerships. So we'll be thinking carefully with Nepal, with the institutions we're visiting, how we can build the scholarship schemes in that regard.
So in one of the video you have said that University of Chester is very open to all, and this is very open to LGBTIQ communities or the sexual minorities.
Yes.
How do you ensure that kind of environment?
Honest conversations, really honest conversations. So we have networks of staff and students to support that. We have an equality forum, which meets very regularly to air this. We don't just tackle actually sexual minorities. Also in the UK, it's important still to focus on race. So we have a race equality forum, and we pay students to be ambassadors. So what they do is they look at a system such as our admissions policy, and they look at it through a particular lens. So a diversity lens could be race, or it could be another minority. It could be about socioeconomic differences, because that's very significant still in our country. And they are able to challenge us to change our systems. Yeah. So we use students as referees, as almost like inspectors of what we do. And I think that's very healthy.
But they are conservative views also, and they are very angry on the liberal ideas. They are very angry about the LGBTIQ communities. So do you have some sort of backlash from that portion of the society?
At Chester, no. It's an incredibly tolerant organisation and society. We've built that. We've had to work hard at it. You're right, in some institutions there's far more conservatism. But I think the UK is still a very liberal country. Compared to many others I've travelled to. We should be proud of that. We should be proud of the fact we stand up for diversity.
And I watched your TEDx video. It was very fantastic. And in the video, you talk about the can education, close the advantage gap. And that was very fantastic video. Yeah. So once I ask you again, can the education close the advantage gap?
I believe it can. I really believe it can. I chair something called TASO, which stands for Transforming Access and Student Outcomes, and we're working with 100 universities in the UK to see how they spend their money to try and close disadvantage gaps. So, for example, if you were a black male with a Caribbean heritage, you would be much less likely in the UK to go to university if you go to succeed at university and then to get the best job at the end. Yeah, that's unacceptable. We need to close those disadvantage gaps, and that's what we're studying to do. But TASO is researching into that, because it isn't just going to happen without hard work and intellectual effort.
So in the video you said that in the most of the university in the United Kingdom, the research start after the 3 years.
Yes.
But you are very good at from the very beginning.
Yes.
So could you please explain about the research in your university?
Yes, so we want first years to come in and understand how new knowledge is created, so they get a chance to work straight away on research questions and research topics, and often across different groups, not just from their subject area, so multidisciplinary. But that's so important nowadays with so much fake information. And how will they know when they're looking online what is good quality to cite and talk about in their own assignments? So they need to understand, where does that knowledge come from? What's the rigour of the methodology? So we train them in that from the first year. And with AI and with everything online now, that's more important than ever.
So let's talk about the country level issue. Nepal and United Kingdom, we had our diplomatic history since 1816. Mm-hmm. We are running in 210 years of diplomatic partnership.
Yes.
So you already told that we have more than 120,000 Nepali students going abroad for the foreign students every year. So we cannot be right now the education destination in Nepal.
No.
So how can we be the research destination for the University of Chester and the other university in the United Kingdom in Nepal?
But I think you can, because I've seen a very good interaction with government. I've met government representatives, NGO representatives, and the universities just in my few days. That's excellent. So that's the background for how you can get integrated research. And I'm sure you could build many more international research programs here that would build the capacity in your universities as well as benefit our universities and share knowledge, because it's not one-way knowledge. This is a sharing. We can only make a difference in this world if we build the knowledge together and apply it and create policies that are very impactful. So I think Nepal is particularly well situated. You're a very educated country already. And I think that workforce could focus in on some of the key issues. I mentioned public health, we've talked about environment, but there are many other issues that I think could be addressed through joined up research programmes. And the British Academy has recognised that with their first amount of money put in for the Evidence Synthesis Centre at Kathmandu University. But there could be lots of other examples of sponsors or grants out there that we should help to seek in a joined up way.
So you are very expert on the forestry. Are there any areas in forestry that Nepal can be the research destination for the researchers from around the world?
I think there are. I think the wildlife human interaction, the use of the buffer zones around your national parks and how those are managed. I think those are really key issues, very relevant to lots of other countries. The management of water, I think, is really interesting, and the soil management with forestry. I think all of that is super relevant. Other places which experience severe flooding, particularly monsoon season.
So what are the other areas that Nepal and United Kingdom can collaborate on the academic domain? For example, we are the one of the oldest diplomatic ties country, Nepal and United Kingdom, maybe oldest in South Asia, because India got independence in 1947.
Yes.
We had our embassy in the United Kingdom in 1931.
Yes.
So we are we have the oldest ties in the South Asia. So how can we give some of the shape in the academic domain for these ties between the countries?
Well, I think the history probably should be better known than it is. There's a very warm feeling in the UK towards Nepal. There's a very big recognition, partly because of the mountaineering history, but also, as you say, the history dating from 1815, 16. So what I think we should be trying to think about is your federalism, because our country has tried to do what they call devolution. So we're not big enough to be a federal country, really, but we have Scotland now, pretty independent of us, Wales. But in England, we're trying to have now what they're calling regions, which are nowhere near as big as your provinces, but they're potentially important in government. So just as you're setting up your new government structures, so are we. So that would be a very fascinating area of research, because the transport, the education, skills, workforce development, they are all exactly the same sort of issues as you will be struggling with. That's what we're also working on in the UK.
So this is your first time in Nepal, but your husband have been part of Nepal. He was part of the BBC Nepal in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And he have been to Nepal in 1990s, maybe 80s, late 80s.
Yeah.
So when do you plan to come back to Nepal again?
I think he was never here. I think he just worked very, very closely with Nepali colleagues in the World Service, BBC World Service. Well, we're already planning to come back, and we hope to build on the good work of these collaborations and the different universities we're meeting. So I'd say within a year. Can't give you a date yet, but I hope it will be soon.
Okay, I think we'll be welcoming again.
Thank you so much.
So anything I didn't ask you, but you want to talk about the University of Chester?
About the university itself, I think I've told you quite a lot. I think if you're interested in a developing university, because it's a very historic institution, but it's got a chance to develop now. And we talk about our citizens as global citizens. That is our strategy. So I think if you're interested in connecting with us on that basis, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, and thank you so much for your time. You are in a hurry. You have so many appointment today. You have to visit so many institutions. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you.
Okay, that's all for now. We'll come up with next episode with next guest. So stay connected. Stay tuned. Namaste.